Come here!
I'm all the way up. All the way up. I'm all the way up. I'm all the way up. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. This is exclusive.
What up everyone, it's your boy JK Dripmode, and today we're going to be working on a dial. Now today's dial is a commission job, so before we get into it, I want to give a big shout out to Gage for commissioning me for this project, because I'm actually excited to build this dial. Now, let me show you the figure that's going to inspire this dial today. Boom! We got Goro. And I don't gotta say much, we're going to be building what? Goro's lair from. Guys, I'm excited for this because when you think about Goro, if you played Mortal Kombat since the beginning, since you were young, when you think about Goro, you think about his lair. His lair has 2 arches. It has some like glow in the dark eyes in the back, 2 rooms, and skeletons from all the victims that he has torn apart. So that's what we're gonna be building. And it's funny because Goro's, Mortal Kombat has evolved throughout the years. I think we're like in Mortal Kombat like 12 now, right? So they always try to evolve it. They always try to add their little twist to it, but they try to stick to somewhat of the foundations. But when you think about Goro, you think about Goro's lair from part 1 and part 2. Those 2 haven't changed, but when you think about Goro, you think about that stage. So that's what we're going to be building today, and this guy's going to help me out, and I'm excited. So let's get to it, guys. I have my sketchbook. This is my book of dioramas that I've sketched throughout the years, and like I always say, guys, sketch out your ideas or use Tinkercad on the computer to really just start doing your homework. Now, so here is Goro's lair. Now Goro's lair is pretty straightforward. You're gonna see 2 main arches in the front. You got 2 arches in the back that's in darkness, and you got some eyeballs, like looks like some creatures just kind of staring at you in the dark. And then you got like a hallway back there, and then the main hallway where you're fighting. So, and then you got also a skeleton hanging. You got some other things on the wall, blood and whatnot. But here's where here's where we fight. Here's where Goro always ends up fighting. That's what we're going to be building today, guys. Alright, so now it's time for the arches. Now, this dial is already big, right? This right here is 25 inches long. So we gotta do arches, and when I look at the reference, the arches are actually a lot, more rectangular, right? But this height, right? That would be way too big for my client. So I gotta do some compromises. It's big enough for him. It's probably just touching a tad on the hair, but perfect for Scorpion. And then we have the skeleton right in the middle to kind of keep things in proportion. So this will be good enough to complete the look and feel that I'm looking for here. Now it's time for some bricks. This, I'm gonna go about it in a couple of different approaches. First, I'm gonna draw it out, and then I'm gonna actually paste the actual bricks. So let's just get into it. This is actually a cool, like, mental therapy of just doing bricks. It's kind of like one of the one-on-one basics of diorama making. So let's get to it. the back piece. So what I mean by that, it's the back part of this die. Depending on your display, right? Like you can make this accurately, right? So I can actually just outline these arches and call it a day. There is some distance between this piece and this piece, and unfortunately, because of the diorama and the limited space, we have to exaggerate that. So to create this illusion, I'm making the opening of this arch smaller to give it the illusion of depth, of distance. So as you can see, or you know, once I place it in its proper place, it gives it that illusion of distance. Alright, so next is the floor. I'm looking at this reference right here, and I'm gonna go and try to replicate this on here. Alright, so here as you can see, I outlined the stone floor that I want. Now, before I even get into embroidering all of this out, we're going to add some texture, some surface treatment. So, I have a rock. Now, for people that don't have rocks, you can use foil. So what we're gonna do, I can cover up the foil, or I can use a rock. The whole point of this is that we can make some interesting patterns on this. So if I start pressing, you can start seeing some patterns. Now, you may have to play with this more to get something that comes off natural. Sometimes the foil may do it, but for me, I'm gonna go with this rock. I mean, it has all these interesting patterns right here. So I could press this and print it on my stones. Next is magnetizing. Gonna go over this real quick. I have these magnets right here. These are great. They're really strong. So these are the ones I've always been using in all my dials. Now the next tool that I recommend, this is a wood like burning tool. You get this at Hobby Lobby. I love that they have this tip because it's exactly the size that I need. Insert these magnets. This tool is not meant for foam, but I've been using it for that. And what I love about it, it has a temperature gauge, and I could make it really hot. I can make it really slow, that it doesn't burn the foam too much, you know. Okay. Put as much as I can in there. Once you squeeze it in there, it'll start like oozing onto the side. So. Okay. Alright, moment of truth. Ta-da! Real quick. It snaps perfectly. Love this part. Next is the brickwork, and I'm here cutting a whole bunch of long strips. They're in different thicknesses. But what I'm doing is that the reason why I drew, you know, the brick is just also as a guide. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start laying them and measuring them and cutting them one by one. There's something really nice about stacking them by hand versus carving them out. Been pressing for all these unique textures, right? But besides imprinting them, we're gonna make these like really imperfect, right? Chip some of the pieces off. This is a sander. And I'm using this to like, I'm gonna go and just kind of go over it, right? And as I'm going over it, it's gonna grab the edges and it's gonna peel them off by mistake. That's gonna cause those imperfections. Look at this. So you just started peeling that one off. Look at that one. I just make them random, right? Make them closer to reality. Alright, next up we're gonna start carving these black lines of the... I'm gonna be using a wood burner tool here. When I'm carving, this is gonna create some fumes. You use a mask or a fan, whatever you guys feel comfortable, but just make sure you don't breathe in these fumes. So the yellow, that's like the second out of 4 temperatures, so it's like not too hot, but enough to burn. My 120 sander here, and I've been like really going at it, right? But in the same time, I'm really trying to rip layers off, so it's so perfect. So what I'm doing is I'm pressing down and I'm just peeling, right? And as I'm peeling, I'm sanding it, creating that smooth indentations on the rock, like how stone floors should look like, right? Looking pretty good. Alright, so I got my... This is my foam cutter, and this is a really useful tool, especially for like terrains like rocks and stuff. So with this portion right here, I'm gonna start shaping this out to make it look more like rocks, as this is the top of the layer, and it's giving, you know, I'm gonna go in a direction like this, kind of like a cave, right? You keep it sharp if you want to. I'm gonna dull these edges down. Here's the dial, just all taken apart. Just wanted to show you guys how simple this guy is to assemble. You got a front piece, got a back piece. Okay. Really took my time in going into the carving, going out of my way, going an extra mile. Tried a new technique of doing brickwork, as I just, you know, cut the pieces out and started stacking them as you would in real life. Decided to add these 2 panels, as my client may want to be able to take pictures in there, right? But also the panels also accomplishes that dark feel inside of it. So looking good. Added some skulls that I'm gonna paint over, and then I got the 2 bumps here for the skull to be able to hang from. So and then the top portion, carved it more of a cave style. Now it's time for priming, and my go-to priming is acrylic and Mod Podge. So I'm gonna start getting this all set up so we can start painting those pieces. Priming. Now my go-to prime is Mod Podge with some black acrylic paint that I got from Walmart, and you mix it and you'll have your own black Mod Podge. Now Mod Podge is great for sealing the foam piece to protect it, but also it prepares the surface for you to be able to start applying paint applications and whatnot. So let's get to it. Let's get into painting. First step is dry brushing. And what dry brushing is that you're applying a very light coat of paint to any of the edges of a shape. And what that does is that it ends up grabbing and then it starts sticking out and it starts revealing those details. Here's an example that I did just to kind of test out my direction of this. Alright, and you can see here there's many layers. There's a base of black, there's a highlight of white, and then there's some kind of tint on top of it that was a little bit more muddy. I'm gonna get some white, but we're not gonna keep all that. What we're gonna do is gonna get a paper towel and we're gonna just start removing that first layer off the brush. Start going from, in a consistent stroke from left to right, top to bottom, whichever one, but try to stay one consistent flow. And so as you see me doing this, right, you can see that it's catching the details on the edge of the carving to really give it that concrete look that we're looking for. All right, we got a nice dry brush coat. This is not done. Now we're gonna do this. We're gonna try to blend all these things together so that it looks natural. I mean, there's areas that got a little bit more concentrated details and others where it's a little bit more faded. With doing a wash, it tends to balance things out. I got some water. Gonna get some black. Boop. Then I'm gonna get some brown. Okay, and now we're gonna mix it. Let's start applying it. Real simple. All you gotta do is just brush it. I'm just gonna leave it on there and let it dry naturally. Okay. Alright guys, so now it's dry and it really exposes the areas of where I want to kind of either improve or just add to it. I am noticing some strokes here, so I'm definitely gonna go over it with another layer of dry brush. And again, this is a ongoing thing. You're gonna dry brush, wash, observe, and then go back at it again. I may just go into it in one layer of dry brushing, seal it, and then go over it again with maybe another highlight, or another color. This is looking good. Now I want to start working on this piece over here. Yes, I have the walls, but I want to get some of the base coat painting out of the way. So I'm gonna be painting this brown, gonna be kind of washing it to kind of blend it in with this, but I'm gonna use a brown foundation on this. I'm gonna use a spray paint, and to kill two birds with one stone, I'm gonna also use that same spray paint down here, even though I'll definitely touch it up with the paintbrush. I know right now it's really the contrast is crazy here, right? It's like brown and then like gray. So I'm gonna be blending these a little bit, maybe warm up a little bit of the stone and also darken some of the ground. Now we're working on the roof. It's brown. Gonna put some highlights, gonna use some warm buff, and really just bring out the details before we start going into the washing. Okay. Alright, so let's continue with the dry brushing. Alright, now we're going to get into details, and at the end I want to wash all of this, but first let's get into the details. So when you wash it, it all adapts together. Some of these bricks are chipped, some of these bricks are really completely broken, and there's like some empty space in the back. So I'm gonna start adding these
kind of like dark browns in there so they could distinguish the background from the foreground. So here you got some black and some brown. Got it looking like almost like espresso coffee. Look at that. So now my piece is sealed. Now before I get into washing, I really want to get into some of the details. And one detail that I was just thinking about was cobwebs. And one of my methods of creating cobwebs is using a hot glue gun. And it's really simple. So all we have to do is just press a little and then let it touch some areas, right? You can see right there, I'm just pulling. And you can pull multiple times as it's hot. You can see it on the camera. You can see it. It's looking good. So it's a good way to make some cobwebs. So put them in areas where you think it feels right. Next up is the washing, and I'm gonna be using my spray bottle for washing. Now, obviously a brush is a lot more controlled, but I've tried this method and I've got some really nice natural results. So I got some black paint, some water, diluted it, added some brown, and we're gonna be using this and spraying it. I'm gonna let that just kind of sit there, let it dry up, and see if I need to go back into it. But definitely you can see there's a lot of blending going on already now that it's filling in the cracks. So when it's blending in certain areas, and I really want to start getting those streaks of like, you know, gunk or wetness that's kind of drip down. Really want to capture those natural movements. So next portion is the chain. There's in the middle of this whole display, there's a skeleton hanging that's being chained up. So that's what I'm gonna create here. Went to Hobby Lobby and found this chain here. Very cool and exactly what I need. And then I got the, you can call them the cuffs, right? Started figuring out how much do I need to get the look that I'm looking for. So I'm gonna check this out. Alright, so mission accomplished. I was able to get the chain and put this cuffling area, and it will be enough for me to put any figure on there. That is awesome. Haha. Mission accomplished. Alright, so I just made 2 holes on these. So the cool thing about this, I don't know, you call it a hook, I guess, but this is the length that I'm giving him, right? So he could like, hang his characters. It definitely changed the length, and with this rod right here, you could definitely make that shorter. So ideally, you know, for this die, we're gonna use a skeleton. So put that in there, and boom, it looks great. Definitely enough distance to show him hanging, but in case the chains are too long, depending on the character, you could definitely adjust the chain to control the height. But the goal is, for my client wanted to be able to put any character, he said. So alright, so next is the 2 empty spaces on the back and the arches. This is purely pitch black, and you got some glow in the dark eyes. Definitely want to be able to maximize as much depth in these arches by using a thinner material here. be able to cut this right here. You can go as simple as just drawing them and calling it a day, but you know me, I like to make things, so then mine's in Photoshop. Simple eyes, but you know, have a nice glow. Now why do I have this? Because I'm gonna glue it. Just spray it, right? Spray it lightly, evenly, let it dry. Moment of truth. And this is gonna be painful because if you don't do it right, you're freaked. Perfect, no bubbles, awesome. You can use tacky glue. I'm just not patient enough to use it. Done. So it's bugging me that this version of my torch that looks pretty badass, I wasn't able to put a light in there. Really annoyed me. But now that I've kind of went through this process, right, what I'm thinking now is redoing that but trying a different approach. So we got these candles, right? Candles right here, right? Find them dollar store, find them at Hobby Lobby. You know, I could definitely insert any light in there. I'm gonna get this from the pipe straws and insert this flame inside, and there we go. That'll be perfect, and I could definitely insert this light. Boom, mission accomplished. So that's my goal right there, is to go and make this look like a medieval lamp. Okay.
Look, there's no signs of forced entry.
What the fuck is all this? Look like Beirut.
Al Capone suite.
I'm cool.
Well, how do I know it's Mike Lowry?
Cuz I'm Mike Lowry. Okay, now we ain't got much time.
Okay. I made it where you can take off the flame with no problem. Right, that's where the light bulb is at. And check this out. Mission accomplished. Yeah, to getting some blood on here. Some Mortal Kombat, right? So, got some Citadel paint. This is the contrast one. This is the Blood Angel Red. Really nice. So, let's try it out.
Scorpion, I will tear you apart. Fight. Goro wins. Fatality.
Here you go, guys. Here is my Goro Lair Diorama from Mortal Kombat Part 1. If you guys have ever played the franchise, when you play Goro, you end up in his lair. You know that you're about to beat the game because you always face him at the end. Prince Goro is one of those characters. Now here you got Scorpion with his arms ripped off because Goro just gave him a fatality. You got the iconic skeleton that is hanging by some chains. And you got the iconic, also, the arches with the glowing eyes in the background. Now, a detail that my client wanted me to add was the lights. Wanted me to add some torches, some flames, and I was able to do it with some LED lights. And it came out really cool. It really does add to the scene. Made it in 2 different layers. You got the layer where you're able to fight, and then there's another layer in the back where it's mostly in the dark. And I really wanted to have him have the ability of just kind of hide him in the dark, right? And then he comes out ready to fight. Added some blood to really talk to the scene of all the different victims. Got some skulls and got some skeletons that I'll be giving. Now, it's a dungeon, so one of the things that is different from the actual game, because the game really doesn't depict that, is the actual ceiling. I went more with a cave-like ceiling, just because that's what I from research and references, dungeons, caves, they're all, they start from something, right? So most of the time, the ceiling is more of a rock-like pattern. Now, in general, this diorama was actually very fun, very simple. The part that really was the challenge in this diorama was the method of my brick technique. By cutting the bricks out and laying them out like you would in real life, it really creates this outcome that is very realistic that you will see in real life. So I definitely am proud of the layering of the bricks. And I know my client's gonna go crazy when he sees this. So I'm actually very happy about this diorama. And it's just pretty cool to see that I was able to bring this scene to life with the figures from Storm Collectible. And I got Goro right here with Scorpion done. So, but guys, that is it. This is Goro's Lair Diorama. And guys, I hope you learned something new. Please, thank you for watching this video. Hit that like button, write a comment, and if you haven't yet, hit subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.